So a couple days ago in one of the posts, I mentioned something about maybe working on sort of a different shaped jar or a box or something. And so yesterday I made this pot. This is a square thrown pot, and this slips a little fresh, but I think I can take that off. And so you can see sort of like a little cap lid, and I like the shape of this. I like that it's got sort of a soft curve, not a real hard paddled curve or a real angular right angle corner. So the problem I have sort of with proceeding, I guess, with this pot is you know, the whole decoration, what's going to happen with the decoration. My sort of hesitation is with this line here where the lid and the body are separated. And so, you know, what I think, you know, I think, well, do I do the primary decoration down here and then do something different here, or do I sort of ignore that line and use that whole space, and then that line's going to sort of show up after the firing? So those are sort of things I think about with this shape that to me are problematic. I see other people who sort of pull that off in different ways with you know, the way they decorate, but the way I'm decorating, I haven't quite solved that problem. So so anyway, that's just a thought. I do like sort of this flat surface up here. You know, this has some nice potential for some drawing, and I also like the square shape, you know, because then you have these panels or these planes here to decorate, whereas, you know, a pot that's round, you can sort of set up areas to decorate, but I do think I want a little bit more of a unique pot, and so I think the square sort of gives me some options, and it's a little more unique than just a thrown pot. And so I was sort of wondering, this is just a round pot with a lid that drops in. You know, this pot could potentially, this type of pot could potentially be squared, and I just wonder if I could pull off a square in this lid, which I think I could with some practice. I've never done that before, but it's not impossible. I've seen it done. Here's a box that I made maybe a year, maybe 2 years ago, for a show. I made a few of these for a show, and this is one that I kept. And it's kind of a neat pot. It's an oval, and it's got a flat lid, and it just sits right down in there. You can see that I sort of pulled the decoration off on this one in a pretty good way, even coming up over this break, over this line here. And this line doesn't tend to bother me being on top as much as this line does being on the side. But I think what I'm going to have to do is make more of these and just decorate them and see where they go. It's hard to know until you do it. And another thing I was thinking about along this same shape is, got a little drawing or two here, is sort of the width of this piece here, this space here that, you know, that I think about decorating and what would I do there. And I wonder if it needs to be that wide. Most of the ones you see that other people make, they tend to have that sort of wide top, but I'm wondering, you know, maybe why couldn't I narrow that down and make it, I mean, I can't make it too narrow because just the way the thing's built. It's got to be able to sit on the flange and everything. But it may be interesting to make a couple of these and just have sort of a thinner area here. And that may work more for what I want to do with my decoration. Just thinking out loud, and I'll have to do some drawing and maybe decorate these drawings up too. There's also, you know, this idea of doing a lid that's an overhang, which is a little more difficult to make. I'm not even quite sure how I would do that. So anyway, that's just, you know, these are just 3 ideas for now, or just preliminary ideas. Oh, and then I did do a little sketch here of like a pagoda jar shape, and I don't know, these may be out of fashion now. It seems like these were all the rage for a while. So I don't know, so this is just sort of, you know, this would be a squared off throne pot, and then it would have a squared off overhang lid, kind of like a hut or a pagoda shape. And so this one has some added feet, and then this one has sort of a little cutout foot. So the foot would go all the way around, and then it would just have a little cutout space there. And that would give me 4 planes to decorate. And then it would also have some neat potential with this sort of peaky roof. I don't know that I would decorate this part. I mean, it's kind of like thinking about how to, you know, what do you do here? Uh-oh, got a little barking in the background. But anyway, so, you know, these are all just problems and things to think about, and things to work through. And the best way to work through them is maybe to just make some pots. So I guess that's what I'll be doing next. Alright, so thanks for taking part in the process here, and I'll let you know what happens next.